Hi, my name is Giuseppe. I play Giovanni Rosada in La Dolce Villa, and this is Young Entertainment.
So here at Young Entertainment, we're really big on masterclass moments and having an opportunity to learn from actors such as yourself. So I'd love to know, what was the casting and audition process like for you in Italy for this film?
Right. Casting for this one was really fun, in a weird way because at the beginning, I auditioned for the role of the assistant of the mayor, which was slightly smaller part, and but really fun because this guy always wants to get a shot of grappa. He always wants to get drunk, so I'm like, this is a great character. And I remember distinctively, I was actually at the laundry washing my dog stuff, and I got this tape, and I'm like, yeah, this is fun. I'm gonna do it. And then I sent it out. It was right before Christmas. Didn't hear anything back for like 2 months. And then February, I heard back from them, and they sent me an audition for Giovanni Rosada, which was, a bigger role. He was sort of the heartthrob, like the love interest of Olivia. So I was like, oh, this is crazy. But my hair is blonde now because I had just gone through a blonde phase. I wanted to have blonde hair. And I'm like, I don't think they're even going to take me seriously. But they did. I sent an audition. I had already gone back to New York by that point, and I sent the tape. I heard back like after a week, and they wanted to do like a Zoom audition, and I was like, oh wow, like it's happening. It might happen. And after that, I just had like another Zoom one with Maya and Mark and Robin. And yeah, I got a call like I think after the week after that by the casting director Armando, which is I love him so much. He's a great person. And yeah, he told me I got confirmed. So I was really over the moon. I will never forget. I was making eggs. I was like cooking. And he called me and was like, yeah, so they confirmed you for this role. I'm like, oh wow. I felt like I don't know, as if a rush of adrenaline, like doing crazy bungee jumping, which I've never done, but I think that's what it feels like. So yeah, that was the process.
I love that. I love hearing the process, and I love hearing where you were when you got the call. I'm picturing you scrambling eggs, saying like, "What? I got it." Like, that sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly that.
Were your friends and family excited for you? Because I'm sure you probably told them like, "Hey, I'm going for this lower role." And you're like, "Wow, now they want me to audition for this other role that's a little bit higher."
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, you audition so for so many things, you rarely talk about it with friends and family because you don't know, like, whatever is gonna confirm or like, most of the stuff is no, you know? So, yeah, when I got confirmed, I told my boyfriend and then I told my family because my family is in Italy. Like, I'm born and raised in Italy, and I was in Brooklyn, and I was like, I had just gotten back. It was like a month that I had gotten back from Christmas vacation. So I'm like, I guess I have to go back to Italy now, like in about a month, because that's when we were gonna start shooting. In March, first in Rome, and then in Tuscany. And yeah, I told everybody, I'm gonna leave, so let's hang out before I leave. And it was crazy, honestly. I was really happy to go back to my country.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. Amazing. And obviously, like in the movie, I hear you speak Italian, and then you easily go into English, especially here with me. Are those the two languages that you are fluent in, or are there any other languages that you speak?
I'm fluent in Spanish as well. I picked that up while I was. I sort of feel like I can't take a lot of credit for it because it's so similar to Italian,
Yeah.
even though of course it's a different language. But I picked it up when I was living in LA. All my friends are Latinos. All my LA friends are Latinos. So I wanted to understand their también, their mijo, mija. So, and it's such a beautiful culture, the Latin culture. So, I really feel like it resembles a lot of the Mediterranean values. I really feel at home with Latin people. And yeah, I do speak very, very basic French and German. I think it's one of the perks from traveling a lot with modeling in the past years. And I love languages in general. So the funny thing in the movie is that I had to, so I've been taking, wait, whatchamacallit, accent reduction classes, you know? And when I started shooting La Dolce Villa, they were like, okay, but we want you to sound a little bit more Italian. So I'm like, yeah, I can do it. No problem. No problem. I will speak like this. No problem. So yeah, it was fun.
Wow, that's really cool. I feel like learning multiple languages can be very difficult because they say you use different parts of your brain. Like you said, like Spanish and Italian,
Oh my
they
God.
have some similarities between them. So I can see why you were
I
able to
was,
Spanish
yeah, I
fluent.
was talking about it yesterday with somebody at the screening. I'm like, I also just got back again from Italy, so I feel like first of all my accent is thicker, and also I think in Italian. Like once I'm here for 1 or 2 months, I dream in English, I think in English, but right now I'm processing everything either in Italian or in my dialect from Calabria, which is a whole other like story, like completely different from Italian as well. So I agree with that, but I think that's the beauty of languages, you know, like you understand there's a lot of different cultures, a lot of different points of views, and I love to integrate all of them. When I was a kid, I had a dream of speaking like 12 languages, so I'm just at three right now. I might work it out later, you know?
I mean, yeah, you've had plenty of time. You could make it happen. I could see it.
Right? Yeah, that's a goal.
Yeah, especially if you have a passion for it, you could definitely make it happen. And I know you spoke about some of the places in Italy where this film took place. I know like you guys went to Pienza and other places. Were every scene where you guys shot, were you guys always on location? If they said, "Hey, we're here in the film," were you guys actually filming there?
I think yes, and the only exception to that was in some parts of the villa where you're gonna see it before the restoration.
Mm.
The set was actually in Cinecittà in Rome, and but the exterior that you see, that's in Tuscany. So that's everything. Everything is on location. You know, Monte Zara is actually San Quirico d'Orcia, this beautiful, beautiful town in Tuscany,
Mm.
which we had the privilege of shooting it. I've never been there, you know. So yeah, everything is pretty faithful to what the movie says.
Wow, that's so cool. I've been to Italy once. I haven't been to all of those places, but I do love it. It is so
No,
beautiful.
I mean me neither, honestly. I've never been to Tuscany either before, and I was like, I'm so lucky, you know. Not only do I get to shoot this amazing project, but I also get to see a new part of my country, and yeah, it was like just fabulous, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. And I know like well here in the US when it comes to acting can be a lot of hustle and bustle, jumping from Zoom audition to Zoom audition. Would you say that the acting scene in Italy is very similar to that, or what are some key differences or similarities?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, well, I'm gonna start with saying that for in the American scene, first of all, being an actor is considered a real job. You know, like you have unions. Of course, there's unions in Italy as well, but they're not as big or as how do you say they recognized, I guess. There's a lot less productions going on in Italy, but I mean, of course, because it's such a smaller country compared to the States, you know. And what else? I like real talk. I'm here because, of course, there's more opportunities. There's like definitely like there's hundreds scripts more being written compared to in Italy. I would say that the Italian scene on the other side has the beauty of its history of theater, which is so rich. You think of what we have in Venice with Commedia dell'arte and all those masks and archetypes that I'm taking, acting classes here in New York at Maggie Flanagan Studio. I'm about to end a 2-year course, and they have a classes for Commedia dell'arte, which is all these archetypes that I also studied while I did theater school back in Italy. So it was funny to see how stuff that was going on in my country like 200 years ago is referenced and taken as an example in here to better your craft. I also something that I often talk about with my friends. I'm seeing a uh, Italians coming into the American scene a little bit more lately. If you think about, because there's been like I think around 50, 40 years where uh, I'm not saying that they were put aside, but they were just not as present. But if you think the 60s or the 50s, you had Sofia Loren, you had Virna Lisi, Marcello Mastroianni, and these were like huge actors that were also really present in the American scene. And I always like to think, they did it. I can do it too. I can work in my country and I can work in the States. And it's just beautiful to see that I'm not the first one trying to do it. And yeah, I think there's good stuff that you can take from both places, both from Italy and from here.
Yeah, yeah. And with that dichotomy, what advice would you give to someone who is currently in Italy and wants to break out into the industry there?
In Italy, right. Um, I would say, I think there is the first thing that comes to mind. A mistake that I often made in my first years of auditioning was like, okay, especially because I come from like, so the, southern Italy, so I had to clear a lot of my dialect accent in order to speak proper Italian, what's called diction. And I would say definitely study that, whatever, whichever part of Italy you come from, but also try to show what makes you different and special from the like different from the others, because there's so many people trying to make it in here, and you don't want to imitate something that somebody else has already done. I think there's value in recognizing what's rare and unique in you. I know it's sounds kind of trite, but it's true.
Yeah.
um, it's about owning what makes you special, and also be confident, even if they might call you delusional. Be delusionally confident, and at the beginning it might be delusional, but then it's gonna work.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. It sounds like you're saying if you're true to yourself, then someone will eventually recognize that and appreciate that. And I love that
Absolutely.
sentiment. It's beautiful. Thank you. Now,
Thank you.
obviously, when you first received this role as Giovanni, I'm sure you did some research into how you're going to develop this character and create him. What kind of research did you do? And once you received the role, how did you put this research into practice and build this character?
Right. So the first thing that I did was read the script over and over again because I wanted to understand how Giovanni fit into the whole story. I wanted to understand not only him as a person, but how like his features help tell the story that the movie wants to tell. Regarding that, I also want to say that I had a slight fear that this movie being written and directed by Americans, it was gonna just be a bunch of stereotypes, to be honest. And I'm happy to say that that's not the case. So it's I took cooking classes thanks to the Netflix production team. They had me and Scott taking cooking classes, which was just wonderful, like a dream, because we were working with top chefs in Italy. And I learned how to make pasta from scratch, pizza from scratch. Also, this lovely, lovely lady that gave us the cooking classes gave me the recipe for profiterole, which is this, French dessert, which is my favorite all-time dessert. So I was like, I'm just getting a good thing after the other. And other than that, I discussed a little bit with my, acting coach what was gonna happen in here, and he was like, real talk, you just need to amp up your charm in here because this is the main thing that Giovanni wants to do. He wants to get Olivia to love him and notice him, notice him. So yeah, I think what I admired the most in Giovanni and what I had to hone in, it's his passion for cooking, and I sort of put that on a parallel with my passion for acting and arts. I'm like, um, how do you live when, since the moment you wake up till you go to bed, you have this sort of obsession, but you know that it's like a beautiful song that you have in your head, and you just like to sing it over and rehearse it in different ways. So I try to apply that with cooking, and I like to cook already myself, but I try to envision myself every day in the kitchen experimenting, and I did that before I started shooting, and I just had fun with it, honestly, because cooking, it sparkles up your creativity, so it was fun.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Cooking is a creative art in and of itself. So, and since you
Absolutely.
brought up cooking, I know you have like this scene with Scott Foley, who plays Eric, Olivia's dad, and you guys are making pasta. You talked a little bit about that. So I'm imagining you guys were actually cooking pasta every time there
Oh
was
yeah.
no action while also acting at the same time. Like you guys are doing two things at once. It's looked like it was
Yes.
really fun. There was some great chemistry, but I'm imagining that was also hectic. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that scene?
Thank you for referencing that, because we actually, by rewatching the movie yesterday, that's one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie, because yes, we're doing this action of like making peachy, this typical Tuscan pasta, and then like there's real talk going on, because Eric talks about when his wife died of cancer, and it just honestly, I mean, Eric took the lead, of course, and I just followed him. It was, how can I say, not a big effort, because I think it sometimes has to do with Meisner technique when you're truly doing something, in this case, making pasta. Whatever comes next, whatever's been talked about, your reactions are going to be natural to it. It's not going to be something fabricated. So I really loved that scene, and it felt very, very real, so emotional, because it's true. Sometimes I also cook with my mom, and we might end up talking about some deep stuff without meaning to. But I think it's the sort of the same thing that might happen when you're driving. You're doing these actions that are like half automated, so you are in that flow state, and we were in the pasta flow state. So this this heavy, quote unquote, heavy conversation just it was flowing very naturally. It was I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, and I think it definitely
Yeah.
shows on screen the level of chemistry that you guys are putting to it, and it just looks really fun and it looked really nice. So it's definitely one
Oh,
of my favorites as well. Yeah.
thank you. Appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, of course, of course. And speaking of chemistry, you and Maya, who plays Olivia, you guys have some really nice chemistry on screen as well. Now, from an
Yes.
actor perspective and point of view, how did you two get together and create that so that when you guys did get together on set, it came off as beautifully as it did?
Okay, first I need to start by saying that I love Maya so much, and she's the easiest person to work with.
Oh,
I, no lie, was kind of intimidated, because she's been acting since she was like 9. I don't know. She's a child actress, like now a woman actress,
yeah.
And I was like, and I also want to say that I learned a lot from her, not only on the technical side of the craft, but also on the emotional side of it, how to compartmentalize your life out of set and your life on set. And other than that, I can just say that chemistry didn't have to be worked at. Since the moment we did the Zoom audition, she was getting, I will never forget it. She forgot to put the do not disturb on her phone, so she was getting calls after calls. She was like, "Oh my God, guys, I'm so sorry." Da, da, da. And I was so tense, and I'm like, "Yes, I love this girl. She's just, breathing, taking it easy. I'm gonna do the same." And there was nothing to work on. It came on really naturally. We're great friends. She's in New York now, so we kind of see each other all so often. And yeah, she's just a lot of fun. I loved our pasta dates. While we were not shooting, I would show her around Rome. I brought her to this carbonara place a couple of times, which she loved. So yeah, we talked about everything, everything. She dispensed a lot of good advices, because as I told you, she's been in the industry for a long time, even though she's younger than me. So I have a lot of admiration for that girl and a lot of love for her.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. It must be nice to meet someone are going to work with and just immediately become friends. And not only that, you I even said outside of filming and after the filming is all done, you guys are meeting up in New York and hanging out. That's a friendship for life.
Yes. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I do not take that for granted because I know it doesn't have to happen every time, but I'm so happy that this time happened.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It is a
Now,
lot.
that sounds amazing. But were there any really challenging moments for you working on this project? And if there was, how did you overcome it?
I mean, to be honest, the most challenging thing for me was getting rid of tension. And I was talking about it yesterday with Mark as well, because especially the whole movie. Yeah, it's a feel-good movie, so we want people to feel the warmth and the love of being in Italy and all the things that the story brings with itself. So the biggest challenge for me was like putting aside my actory mind, where I'm like, okay, this is my first international project, so I have to perform at my best and this and that. I was like, the character is not living any of that. The character is relaxed in his hometown, cooking, living his best life, and he has this girl that he loves. And the first day that I shot was the fettuccine scene, which is when Eric makes me try his fettuccine alfredo. And I remember the first takes, my jaw was so tight, my mouth muscles were so tight that like I could barely articulate. And Mark was so kind and so warm. He very politely approached me. He was like, "Nobody here is racing you. We got time. Do not worry, and just try to articulate a little better." And I just took a deep, deep breath and I was like, "Yeah, everything is fine. We're just making a scene about pasta." And I gotta say, yeah, that was the most challenging one because after that, I sort of picked up on the rhythm of the whole movie and the set, which is a beautiful, relaxed flow, which us Italians were sort of experts at. When they say dolce far niente, it's like, yeah, we know that. Especially in the South, we can be very, very relaxed.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And I'm sure that is something that you're always constantly working at, releasing that tension and coming to something a little bit better than you did the last time. Because obviously, as actors and anyone else, it's a process because it's a craft and you're constantly molding
Yeah,
yourself. And I know you talked
yeah,
about the classes that you were taking as well. Are
yes.
there any other things that you do to sort of better yourself as an actor in your profession? Do you read books, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos?
Oh, I love reading. Like first of all, Stephen King. I know it's a complete opposite from the La Dolce Villa theme, but I love Stephen King. Um, and just any good fictional books. Like I always have a book in my hand. Right now, I'm reading Catcher in the Rye, which I love because it's set in New York. I only mention that because reading good story. I'm a fan of stories, so I love picking up a good story and reading it. And for the rest, I think that the biggest tool that helps me in my craft is meditation, and that brings me back to releasing the tension and also being present. I remember reading "The Power of Now" by Eckhart Tolle, and he talks about how you just you basically in the whole 250 pages of the book is like you need to be present, you need to be living in the now to experience life at its fullest and all of that. And that's also one of the fundamental fundamentals of the Meisner technique and in general every acting technique. It's like you need to be listening, you need to be in the now. There's no thinking of the before or the after, it's now. And meditation really, first of all, helps me, deem down my anxiety whenever it comes or any kind of worry, but it also makes me more aware of the energy that surrounds me, and I'm just more, well, like, in the periods that I meditate regularly, I notice how I pick up on stuff like just faster. I know what that person is, I know what that person means, I know where I'm going. I sort of feel like I have superpowers, to be honest, when I meditate regularly, because I just, I arrive at the subway and the train comes at the exact moment that I get on the platform. I pick up my phone, it's always 111, 1155. So yeah, that's sort of my spiritual mystic aspect, but it definitely helps with the craft because I think I am a better listener when I meditate a lot. And also reading is a form of meditation. So definitely these two tools help me a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like something that's really good to practice, centering your mind, not just your body. That sounds good. I might have to try that because I'd love to be able to make it to the metro on time when the bus is already coming. Because Lord only knows I'm not
Yeah,
good at that. So thank you for that suggestion. Um,
absolutely. Yes.
I'd love to do some quick rapid fire questions in these last few moments that we have together.
Let's
So
do it.
these are going to be some firsts. So, what was your first time on set?
Oh, it was a short movie close by to my hometown, and we were frogs by a river.
Frogs.
Yeah, frogs, yeah. We were playing frogs, sort of homeless people who felt like they were frogs. I will never forget it. Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, okay. What was the first time you ever had to cry on cue?
Oh, I don't think that's ever happened, but I did it in an audition, and that came well. So yeah, not on set, but while auditioning. So I'm happy to say that it happened. It was also quite recent, so I gotta thank my acting classes for that.
Okay, okay, awesome. And what was the first TV show or film that inspired you to become an actor?
Oh, that's such a fundamental question. Huh. I don't know. um, oh God, I don't know. I want to say this is gonna sound really funny. I want to say The Devil Wears Prada is the first one that comes to mind, but you know why?
Why?
Because I remember my mom watching it, and I was like 9 years old or something, and I looked at this white-haired lady, and she looked like, pardon my term, but a little bit of a bitch, of course, which was what Meryl Streep wanted, and that was that. And I think that a couple years after, I saw her in another movie like out of like My Africa, or a movie where she was completely different. I'm like, wait, this is the same person that did that.
Mhm.
I'm like, I want to do that. I had already done theater by that point at elementary school, but that was like, I want to be able to have people question themselves and be like, wait, is it the same person? And that just to me seemed like the most perfect kind of joke and trick that you can pull. So yeah, I would say
Yeah,
that.
I love that. Seeing someone have such a great range and wanting to be able to be like that. It's amazing.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
I want to say thank you so much for joining me today, answering all our questions.
I'm Giuseppe. This is Young Entertainment, and please don't forget to subscribe. Ciao.